Today, we begin with a stunning development that's sending ripples through Iraq's financial landscape. The Central Bank of Iraq has made a bold statement that's capturing the world's attention, a mission to return the dinar to its former glory. Those 7 words have ignited debates, fueled excitement, and raised one powerful question: is Iraq about to experience its very own Kuwait moment? For decades, people have waited for signs of a currency comeback. And now, in 2025, that possibility feels closer than ever. But this story isn't just about money, it's about national pride, rebuilding confidence, and reclaiming a place in global finance. If the Iraqi dinar truly rises again, it won't just be an economic shift, it will be a rebirth of identity and power. So stay with us, because what's unfolding right now could reshape not just Iraq's economy, but the future of global markets. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been seen as a currency stuck in limbo, filled with hope, yet held back by history. From wars to sanctions, from internal divisions to global isolation, Iraq's financial system has endured enormous challenges. But something is changing in 2025. The tone has shifted from if to when. The central bank's recent declaration wasn't random or symbolic, it was strategic. Return the dinar to its former glory isn't just patriotic talk. It's a carefully chosen phrase signaling a roadmap for renewal. Inside Baghdad, economic meetings are increasing, policies are being tightened, and reforms are accelerating. For the first time in decades, Iraq's leadership appears united on one goal: building a currency that represents stability, not struggle. To understand why this statement matters so much, we have to look back at what former glory really means. In the 1970 seconds and early 1980 seconds, Iraq's dinar wasn't just strong, it was one of the most powerful currencies in the entire Middle East. At one point, one Iraqi dinar was worth more than $3. That wasn't an illusion, it reflected Iraq's oil dominance, massive reserves, and a thriving economy that made Baghdad a regional powerhouse. But decades of war, sanctions, and corruption took their toll. The currency lost nearly all its value, and the people lost faith in it. Now, as the central bank speaks of restoring that strength, it's tapping into deep emotions, pride, nostalgia, and hope for a better economic future. The plan being discussed among experts is fascinating and controversial. Some analysts believe Iraq could first launch what's known as an in-country rate. That means adjusting the value of the dinar domestically before introducing the change internationally. This approach allows the central bank to test internal systems, stabilize prices, and educate citizens before the world reacts. The idea isn't new. It mirrors Kuwait's strategic playbook from the early 1990 seconds. After the Gulf War, Kuwait quietly restored its dinar's value internally before releasing it globally. It was a controlled, step-by-step comeback that worked perfectly. Could Iraq be following a similar path? The evidence suggests they might. But here's where the story takes a modern twist. Kuwait's revaluation happened in 1991, a time when information traveled slowly. There was no social media, no live trading apps, and no instant leaks. In today's digital era, secrecy is nearly impossible. The moment Iraq changes its rate domestically, screenshots, online banking updates, and trading apps would expose it in minutes. So, could Iraq really revalue in silence? Experts say not for long. Still, that doesn't mean the central bank can't plan a carefully timed rollout. They might coordinate with the International Monetary Fund, prepare local banks, and pre-stage the transition before going public. It wouldn't be a secret, but it could be a strategic reveal. Across Baghdad, signs of preparation are everywhere. The central bank has been tightening control over currency exchanges, stabilizing the dinar against the dollar, and limiting black market fluctuations. These aren't random moves, they're signals of readiness. Meanwhile, Iraq is introducing new anti-corruption laws, expanding its digital banking systems, and encouraging citizens to move away from cash toward electronic payments. This digital shift isn't just about modernization, it's about control, transparency, and creating a foundation for a stronger currency. Every step points toward one direction, a country preparing for something big. At the same time, Iraq's oil and gas sector is booming again. The nation is not only one of the world's top oil producers, but it's also moving towards self-sufficiency in refining and natural gas. That means fewer imports, stronger reserves, and a healthier trade balance, all key ingredients for a currency comeback. With oil prices steady and production rising, Iraq's economy is building momentum that supports a potential dinar revaluation. The stronger the foundation, the more credible the currency becomes. Public sentiment, however, remains divided. Interviews from inside Iraq show a mix of optimism and skepticism. Many citizens want to believe that this time is different, that the promises will finally become reality. They've heard talk of deleting zeros, introducing new notes, and boosting value before, but those words often faded into disappointment, yet today, the actions are different. The government isn't just making statements, it's executing real reforms. That's what's sparking renewed confidence. When people start seeing banks modernize, markets stabilize, and salaries strengthen, belief begins to return. Still, the road ahead isn't simple. Iraq faces complex challenges from political rivalries to external pressure from regional powers. Every move by the central bank will be watched closely, not just by citizens, but by investors in international markets. A misstep could trigger inflation or speculation. That's why experts believe Iraq will proceed cautiously, using a phased plan rather than a sudden overnight change. The central bank knows that confidence takes time to build and seconds to lose. Behind closed doors, Iraqi officials are said to be coordinating closely with major financial institutions to ensure readiness. Banking systems are being upgraded, ATM networks tested, and electronic payment systems integrated. These steps aren't flashy, but they're essential. Before any revaluation, the infrastructure must be rock solid. Imagine trying to reintroduce a new rate when banks can't process it correctly. That would cause chaos. Iraq appears to be avoiding that risk by preparing every layer of its financial network in advance. Meanwhile, international investors are watching with growing curiosity. Over the past few months, several foreign companies have shown renewed interest in Iraqi infrastructure, technology, and energy projects. These investments bring more than money, they bring confidence. When global firms see progress and political stability, they begin to view Iraq not as a risk, but as an opportunity. And when capital starts flowing in, currency strength often follows. One key piece of Iraq's strategy is the shift toward monetary sovereignty, taking back full control of its economy. For years, Iraq has relied heavily on the US dollar for trade, savings, and even local transactions. The central bank is now limiting that dollar dependency, encouraging businesses and citizens to use the dinar instead. This move not only strengthens national identity, but also builds internal demand for the currency itself. The more Iraqis use and trust their own money, the more stable and valuable it becomes. Economists point to another interesting factor: Iraq's effort to unify its official and market exchange rates. For years, there's been a gap between the central bank's rate and the rate used in street exchanges. Recently, that gap has narrowed significantly. It's a sign of tighter regulation and improved confidence. When a country manages to align those rates, it creates a more transparent, predictable market, an essential condition for a credible revaluation. The digital revolution inside Iraq's banking sector is also a game changer. The central bank's new policies encourage mobile banking, e-payments, and digital wallets. This modernization reduces fraud, speeds up transactions, and makes economic data more accurate. When a nation transitions to a digital financial ecosystem, it gains the control and visibility needed to support a stable currency. Iraq is moving in that direction at record speed, signaling that its long-term plan goes far beyond a single rate change. It's about building an entirely new economic framework. Despite all the optimism, not everyone is convinced. Critics argue that Iraq's structural issues such as corruption, bureaucratic delays, and political interference still pose significant obstacles. They warn that unless these problems are fully addressed, a revaluation could bring short-term excitement but long-term instability. Yet, even these skeptics admit that the current leadership's commitment to reform is stronger than it has been in years. The fact that Iraq's central bank is speaking confidently about returning to glory suggests that the groundwork may finally be in place. As we move further into 2025, momentum continues to build. Each new policy, each new announcement seems to point in the same direction. Whether it's improved transparency, new investment laws, or tightened currency control, Iraq is acting like a nation preparing for a major economic transformation. The question isn't just whether the dinar will rise, it's when and how far. Will it be a gradual climb or a sudden leap that shocks the world? If Iraq manages to pull this off successfully, it could create one of the most remarkable economic comebacks in modern history. Think of what it would mean a currency once dismissed as unstable, now standing tall alongside the world's strongest. It would not only transform Iraq's economy, but also reshape how global investors view post-conflict nations. It would prove that with discipline, reform, and vision, even a war-torn country can reclaim prosperity. There's another side to this story, the human one. Beyond numbers and exchange rates are millions of Iraqis hoping for a better life. A stronger dinar could mean more purchasing power, more stable prices, and renewed faith in the banking system. It could also mean greater international respect and pride in a nation long overshadowed by conflict. For many citizens, this isn't just about money, it's about dignity. Of course, caution remains vital. A revaluation done too quickly or without full preparation could create confusion, inflation, or even panic. That's why the central bank's measured tone is so important. Every statement, every update, seems to emphasize stability over speed. They're playing the long game, and that might be the smartest move of all. So, is Iraq really on the brink of its next Kuwait moment? All signs suggest that something extraordinary is unfolding. But unlike Kuwait's secretive move decades ago, Iraq's transformation will likely happen in plain sight, one calculated step at a time. In today's connected world, transparency and coordination are key. The central bank knows that the entire globe is watching. In the end, Iraq's success will come down to one word: confidence. Confidence from citizens who must trust their currency again. Confidence from investors who must see Iraq as stable and secure. And confidence from the global community that Iraq is ready to rejoin the financial stage. If those three forces align, the dinar could indeed reclaim its former glory, not as a dream, but as a reality. For now, one thing is certain: Iraq is moving with purpose. The pieces are falling into place. Whether the next announcement comes next month or next year, the momentum is undeniable. The promise of revival is alive. And if the central bank delivers on its mission, the world may soon witness a financial comeback that will echo far beyond Iraq's borders. So as this story develops, one question remains for all of us watching. Are we witnessing the rebirth of the Iraqi dinar, or the making of the greatest financial turnaround in the Middle East since Kuwait's own historic comeback? Stay tuned, because the answer might just define the decade ahead.